Hi everybody, my name is Bahush and welcome to FDXtra, the show where we talk about cool photo and video stuff that we're bringing you here at Fotodiox. Now, when you get a camera and you had your fill of your telephoto shots and your portrait shots, you might want to start getting up really close and getting detail shots or macro shots. You'll be amazed at the kind of details you'll uncover just by being able to take a shot from up close. The thing is, most lenses aren't really suited to shooting up close. You have to get a special lens called a macro lens. They can be very, very expensive though. So here at Fotodiox, we have an alternative for you that's under 20 bucks. That's not too bad. It's called a macro extension tube. And the principle of this, it actually makes perfect sense if you think about it for 1 second. Imagine when you take a magnifying glass, right, and you're looking at something like a newspaper or something like that. The further away you move the lens from your eye, the larger the image appears in the glass, right? It's the same thing with a camera. You know, there are a bunch of glass elements here, but if we were able to move the lens further away from the image sensor, it's going to magnify the picture. We're going to be able to see things in a much closer way. So that's pretty much what the macro tube does. We have these available for a whole bunch of different cameras, and like I say, they're under 20 bucks. Let me show you how easy it is to mount this. You just pop your lens off, put the tube on, just like you're putting a lens on, click, and then put the lens back on the end, and there it is. You're ready to shoot macro. Now, you want to be able to adjust how much macro effect you're getting. So actually, these sections of the tube come apart. There are the two ends that plug into the camera and the lens, and then there are 3 sections that you can disassemble. I'll show you how. Okay, so here's just the lens and camera mount together. You screw those together. So this is going to give you some macro effect. If you want to get more, the tube comes apart into 3 pieces. There's a kind of Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. So they actually measure 7 millimeters, 14 millimeters, and 28 millimeters, and you can mix and match these. So you have a lot of different varieties. Let's say we want to use the kind of big guy here. Screw that onto the camera, screw the lens in, and we are ready to shoot some stunning close-up photo and video. So let me give you 2 hints, 2 things to think about while you're shooting macro. One is you're going to want a lot of light, because you're going to be way close to an object. You want to make sure there's plenty of light, and make sure you're not sort of occluding the light that's hitting your subject, because you've got your big lens, basically really on top of whatever it is you're shooting. And then the other tip is you got to be really steady. Okay, I've got my my disgusting bug collection here. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. So let's get up really close and get a nice shot of the bugs. And you're going to have to get your camera right in there. A lot of the focusing is going to be just by physically moving the camera in and out from your subject. So let's really get in there. Okay, and there we are. So just imagine the kind of photos you could be shooting just around your house. Suddenly just regular common household objects get a bunch more interesting when you get really close up and see what they look like. And for less than 20 bucks, you can't beat it, because it just takes your existing lens and makes it into a macro. If you've got a little more money to spend and you've got a Canon EOS camera, we have the Pro version of the macro extension tube. These tubes, it's the same idea. There are 3 tubes of varying lengths. They lock together instead of unscrewing. But most importantly, there's a difference between this one and the regular extension tube. When you put the regular extension tube on, your lens and your camera are no longer speaking to one another. Not because they're mad at each other, but the electronic connection between the 2 is interrupted. So autofocus and auto aperture and things like that aren't going to work. You have basically a manual lens now. If you've got a Canon EOS camera and you've got the Pro version of the macro extension tube, it's got these little pins inside that do keep that electronic connection between lens and camera. So aperture can be automatically set. You're still going to want to focus manually, trust me, but autofocus is there if you need it. Okay, so that's a look at macro, but really the best look you can have is through the lens of your camera And like I say, for under 20 bucks, you can't beat the cool kind of images you're going to get with your camera. Now, if you want to see more macro action, not only can you get stunning stills, you can get amazing video. So just click on this video. We did a fuller look. We spent a day shooting some stuff in a local park. Just take a look at how cool a lot of this stuff ended up looking.